The Return of Travel Explained Summit.
Explained, presented by C.A.R.P and the Zoomer. While there is a lot of excitement about the return of travel, there is also a great deal of uncertainty around COVID and its impact around the globe. And that makes the healthcare needs of travelers paramount. So, if you're planning to travel, travel insurance is a must. Our next guest is UMESH MANANI, travel insurance partner for the McLennan Group Life Insurance Incorporated, C.A.R.P's travel insurance partner since 1993. UMESH joined McLennan Group's program partner brokerage Can-Am Insurance in 2016, and he draws upon over 11 years of sales, operations, and client management experience to go over travel insurance.
Great. Thank you so much for having me for such an important event. I'm really excited to be here. Our licensed specialists, assistance providers, and claims managers are very happy to be working alongside the McLennan Group Life Insurance on behalf of C.A.R.P members across Canada. Throughout the pandemic, Canadians have continued to travel, and because of that travel, travel insurance is that much more important. But the need for travel insurance has always been there. When you travel outside of the country, coverage provided by your provincial health plans for hospital and medical expenses are very limited. Only a fraction of these expenses may be covered. Without additional insurance, costs incurred from a medical emergency can be financially devastating. Travel insurance is designed to pay for unexpected costs that arise while you're away, such as medical expenses, trip cancellation, interruption, and lost baggage. But beware, not all plans provide all coverage types. Insurance plans are very different, so make sure you select the policy that fits your health profile. And don't wait until the last minute to buy insurance. Leave yourself a lot of time to read the policy, to learn what is covered, what isn't covered, and don't be afraid to ask questions before you leave. If you visit our website, carptravelinsurance.ca, you'll see the statement, our travel plans will fit your travel plans. And that's because we believe we have insurance coverage to suit any 50-plus traveler. Our top sellers are our single trip and multi-trip emergency plans. Single trip plans are best if you're planning only one long out-of-province trip or maybe 2 short trips per year. You can obtain coverage from 1 day up to a maximum number of days allowed with your provincial health insurance plan. Multi-trip plans may be ideal if you're planning to travel out of country more than 2 times in a 12-month period. You can obtain coverage for any number of trips between 4 and 60 days each. Extensions and top-ups are available. And the big news is our preseason savings event is on now. In the summer of 2019, we introduced new lower rates for our travel plans. They were our lowest rate in years. The great news for C.A.R.P members is those new low rates will stay in effect until October 30th, 2021. So lock in your rate by October 2021 and save. While both our single and multi-trip plans offer coverages up to $10 million Canadian and will cover expenses related to COVID-19 when level 3 advisories are lifted. It's important to know that with our travel plans, if you travel outside of Canada, exclusions are currently in place for expenses related to COVID-19. So if you're not yet comfortable to travel again, you can still buy now and save. There's no penalty to change your travel dates prior to departure, even if it's 11 months from now. Or if preferred, you'll receive a full refund. But like most of us, if you're ready to travel out of country while in the level 3 advisory, we have you covered under 2 coverage options for COVID-19. You can purchase an optional COVID-19 add-on for our single and multi-trip plans. It provides emergency medical coverage for COVID-19 and related conditions after a positive test result at destination. This could even mean returning you home by emergency air transport. Coverage up to 10 million Canadian if you are vaccinated and up to 1 million if you're not vaccinated. And for those of you who have not purchased a single or multi-trip plan, we offer standalone specialized COVID-19 pandemic travel plans. This would include coverage up to $5 million for the fully vaccinated and $1 million Canadian if you're not. At this time, we do not offer COVID-19 coverage for cruise vacations, while the Government of Canada is advising to avoid all cruise ship travel outside of Canada. However, If you do plan on taking a cruise, we will cover you for any other expenses outside of COVID-19. However, our single and multi-trip plans do cover COVID-19 expenses for travel inside of Canada. And chances are, a lot of you are asking yourselves, wait a second, do I need travel insurance if I'm traveling within Canada? And the answer is yes. The reciprocal agreement for services between the provinces and territories is only equal to the coverage provided in your home province or territory, and it differs across Canada. Outside your home province, for example, some plans may not cover prescription drugs, ambulances, specialists, emergency dental, or x-rays. There are exclusions for all non-medical expenses, including expenses associated with trip interruption. Your incurred costs could be substantial. Just an air ambulance to bring you back to your home province can cost as much as $20,000. And for travelers with medical conditions that make it difficult to obtain coverage for out-of-country travel, personal underwriting may be the ideal option. Policies can be tailored to your medical situation and can even include coverage for pre-existing conditions without the stability period. Regardless of the coverage you choose, you'll have access to emergency assistance 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our dedicated case managers answer your assistance calls and ensure proper care is received. Our medical staff interact directly with doctors at the hospitals our policyholders are attending. Plus, our standby MD benefit provides access to qualified physicians anywhere you travel, with additional services offered in the US. This could be done through telephone, virtual consult, or depending on where you are, we might even be able to send a doctor to you. And if you're not sure which coverage is best for you, the best thing to do is to speak to our call center. When you call the Travel Insurance for C.A.R.P members toll-free telephone number, you are speaking with a licensed insurance broker who wants you to be properly insured. Our licensed specialists are qualified to provide advice on the insurance product that is best suited for you. They'll work with you to help ensure you understand all the medical questions. And if you seem unsure of your conditions, they may recommend that you verify information with your doctor. The McLennan Group encourages you to follow the recommendations of the Government of Canada about medical professionals around the world during these uncertain times. But when you choose to travel again, be assured that we'll be here for you.
Thank you so much, UMESH. Joining us now is Bill VANGORDER, C.A.R.P's Chief Policy Officer, Chief Operating Officer, and the founding chair of the Nova Scotia chapter of C.A.R.P. Welcome, Bill. I heard you have a few questions from C.A.R.P members for UMESH. Take it away.
I do. Thank you, Natasha, and thank you, UMESH, for an excellent presentation and answering many of the questions that I know our C.A.R.P members already had. But we do have a number of travel-related questions that were sent via the C.A.R.P website. The first one is from Kay Power, who asks, is COVID insurance now a must-have, especially if we're traveling to the USA?
Absolutely. Travel insurance in general was a must-have pre-pandemic, but definitely in times like this with COVID running rampant, it is definitely a must-have. The virus is so unpredictable that you should always err on the side of caution. Having the right coverage also provides that peace of mind. It is not something you want to be worried about while you're at destination. Plus, I personally wouldn't want the financial risk of traveling outside of Canada without coverage specifically for COVID-19. If you're not covered and get COVID while you're on vacation, you're responsible for all the medical and related costs. So to answer your question quickly, absolutely.
Good. We've heard a lot about travel advisories. What do the various levels of travel advisories mean, and where can we go to find out that information and what they're telling us?
Yeah, great question. This information can be found on our website. We have links directly to the Government of Canada website on carptravelinsurance.ca on the travel page specifically. But there are 4 specific travel advisories that the Government of Canada utilizes today. Currently, we're on a level 3. There is one level ahead of us here called level 4, and it's to avoid all travel. Thankfully, we're not there yet. But you can definitely go to the website and take a look at the specifics of all 4 levels.
Okay, understood. Well, but what happens if the level moves from level 3 to level 4 when I'm traveling? Am I still covered?
Yeah, so great question. As long as you meet the conditions of the policy you have, a move from a level 3 to a 4 will not impact the benefits. But I will say it's important to review and understand your policy and its limitation as it relates to those advisories.
Okay, and what if I get COVID while I'm traveling? Will you fly me back to Canada?
Great question. It does really depend on how severe the virus has impacted you and how severe your presentation is at the hospital. However, this is definitely an option that is reviewed during the assessment time during the medical emergency. And one of our case managers will definitely be walking you through that process should you be in that unfortunate situation.
And if I get my vaccination status, how does that deal with my ability to have coverage? Does it matter?
Yeah, for some insurers it does not. For others, it can simply mean a change in the amount of benefit that's available to you. You know, we just spoke briefly about having $10 million being fully vaccinated if you purchase one of our COVID-19 plans versus the 1 million if you're not. So really, especially as it relates to the U.S., you know, the market there and the amount of money that they're able to charge for medical expenses is so severe that $1 million can go so quickly.
Here's another from the C.A.R.P website. Jay Circus asks, what healthcare coverage do you need to spend 3 months of the winter in Cusco? And is travel insurance for C.A.R.P members enough?
Great question. And really, it comes down to a personal decision. Travel insurance for C.A.R.P members, single and multi-trip emergency plans offer that up to $10 million worth of coverage. And additional coverage is available for expenses related to COVID-19. If you're fully vaccinated. So, whether you're there for 3 months or 6 months, C.A.R.P insurance is definitely the way to go. And we do offer benefit limits that will definitely help you out.
Okay. And again, through the C.A.R.P website, I. Francis asks, how does the government level 3 advisory for non-essential travel to a particular country impact continuing supplementary health coverage that includes travel medical insurance?
Yeah, well, absolutely. You need to take a look at the conditions of whatever policy you do have and what coverage you have within maybe your group insurance plan. An insurance policy is a legal contract, and a major reason for a claim being denied is that people simply don't know what is and what isn't covered. So I would say definitely take a look at the specifics within the policy to see how travel advisories may impact the coverage. As I know for a fact, the individual and multi-trip plans, do have verbiage surrounding the travel advisories, and so do your homework. Don't just assume that there is coverage. And really take a look at, the specific wording as it relates to the travel advisory.
Good advice. So is trip cancellation and interruption insurance still available for out of country travel?
Yeah, it definitely is. Now, from a COVID-19 standpoint, if you're looking to cancel because of COVID-19 specifically, there are exclusions to that just because COVID-19 is a very well-known event. So depending on when you purchased your policy, if it was a known event, you can't really cancel for reasons because of COVID-19. So, if you, for example, break your leg and you can't take your trip any longer, that's definitely something that is available to us on a trip cancellation benefit.
We have time for one more question. So let's come back to our own country. Why would I need travel insurance if I was just staying and traveling in Canada?
Yeah, great question. And we talked about it briefly earlier as well. The province that you're from really dictates, the cost that they're going to cover within your province. So if you're in BC, you have to take a look at the BC rates versus the Ontario rates. And Ontario will obviously cover what they would have covered had you been in Ontario at that time. And again, we talked briefly about some of the costs that may not be covered, such as prescription drugs and ambulances and X-rays. And of course, if it comes down to it and you want to be repatriated back home to your home province because you no longer want to sit in the hospital in a well, I wouldn't say a foreign province, but a province that there's no family around or anything like that. the cost to bring you back home could be $20,000, and that's something that the OHIP coverage would not cover.
Great, great information for all of us. So before we leave this part, any last words of advice that you have for us?
Yeah, just again, I'm going to reiterate the fact that when you travel outside of Canada, the amount of coverage that you have through the government is extremely limited. So be sure to understand that, because it could be very financially devastating, especially in the US, where the costs there are just unreal. And because of those extended hospital stays, we're talking, a very large sum of money, and I've seen the bills to prove it. So be sure to take a look at that and understand that the coverage is very limited. There are a lot of people out there that just think that, my government will cover it and OHIP will cover it, but that's definitely not the case. Also know that there are so many different plans out there. Be sure to do your research and be sure that the policy you choose fits your health profile and your coverage needs. Choosing the right travel insurance could be the most important thing you do, especially traveling in this climate. Lastly, I would say, do not wait last minute to purchase your policy. Give yourself enough time to really read the policy, understand the policy. And if you have questions, call a licensed broker to get those answers.
Thank you very much. Great advice.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you, UMESH, and thank you, Bill, for those lovely questions from C.A.R.P members. That was some very sage advice, and similar to what we've been hearing from our other speakers, in addition to planning your trips early, also planning your insurance early. So I do have a question. Are there any countries that travelers should avoid? Is travel insurance sort of a one-size-fits-all no matter where in the world I go? Or are there any sort of places that maybe I should look to thinking about holding off for now?
Yeah, great question. And I think, every country is handling the pandemic in different ways. So I think earlier someone had mentioned, be sure to do your research, go to the government website of that particular country, see what the requirements are. I've seen certain countries require not just travel insurance, but travel insurance that has COVID coverage on it as well. So be sure to do your research at that particular country and just see what the requirements are, because you don't want to get there and be denied entry to that country just because of insurance.
That's very important to think of. And I also, one of my apprehensions with going international right now is, and I'm sure it's not common, but what if I'm somewhere and the border shuts down? Is there anything around travel insurance that would help me as a Canadian come back to my country?
We haven't seen anything, stop Canadians from coming back home. I think during the pandemic, even though we were on a bit of a lockdown, the only folks that are allowed back into our country were Canadians. So I don't see anything currently from a policy perspective that would ever restrict that. But again, it's so important to understand, where to go when these things happen so that you can get all the up-to-date information.
And then another question I have is a lot of people depend on our credit card insurance. And then you find out, probably not the best thing when you're actually in a situation where you need insurance. And so can you clarify a little bit around the insurance we get with our credit cards versus what you would get through an advisor such as yourself with the McLennan Group?
Yes, absolutely. And this is definitely one of those things that we get frequently. We get this question a lot. And thankfully, we get those questions because for some, they go on their trips thinking that the credit card insurance is enough. And oftentimes, credit card insurances will have limitations on what the policy benefits might be. But not only that, the coverages are different per credit card, just like any policy that you would purchase. Again, as part of my advice was to really take a look at your policy coverage, take a look at the booklet that was provided you. I know no one wants to read the fine print, but it's almost a must during this time. Coverages with credit cards often will have limitations on, this coverage will be in effect so long as, your trips are a particular amount of days. So there are these little nuances that you'll find within credit card coverages that you may not find exactly on the travel insurance, particular insurance coverages and policies that are out there.
Thank you. And Bill and UMESH, this is a question I want to ask both of you because this is a travel event. So where is the first place that you will both travel to when you're ready? So Bill, you can go first.
All right. Well, my first travel will be out of the province and to visit family and friends. And the second travel out of the country, we'd like to do a cruise in Portugal.
That sounds amazing. And UMESH, same question for you?
Yeah, so definitely out of province and looking forward to Cancun or somewhere in Mexico. We went there a couple of years ago and absolutely enjoyed it. So I want to take the family back there again.
Amazing. And is there anything that the McLennan Group is doing to keep up with the evolving needs of travelers? How are you keeping your finger on the pulse of travel trends and insurance needs?
Yeah, I'll speak from our perspective, really just keeping a pulse on the news, keeping a pulse on government websites, taking a look at the trends, how is, Europe reacting to the COVID-19 pandemic? How are things evolving in Mexico? Really, it comes down to taking a look at those travel advisories, taking a look at the websites of the various countries that we may service, especially mostly, and be in tune with what those updates look like. And not only that, but get prepared for what those how those new advisories might impact how we do business here.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And you've definitely given me a lot of food for thought. And I'm excited to travel my next trip and to buy insurance, because that is the most important thing I have learned from your talk today.